riding up. Whatever it is you gotta do, riding up until the day I meet you. I'm riding up. I look up in the skies, asking out a while, but never let it faze me. I'm keeping good vibes when I'm on the road. Watch out for all surprises. What it provides is good and bad, but nothing entices.
Another one day in the night, let me paint the view, color time with my light. For every moment share with you, not out in the day, but never fully gone. Going to be back again until the coming over down.
For the days ahead of us, put your hands up, wave it side to side for good luck. For the nights like this, put your hands up, love the moment even from dusk. Yo, you always got my back, and of course I got your back. Don't you worry about that now. It's been a good day, good night. It's gonna be a good day, good night. Two hands meet at zenith. Nothing comes between us. Dancing like ballerinas under the moonlight all night long. How these plain and simple scenes get painted so vividly by you. I just wanna stay with
Around the
you.
world is slowly dance, forever all eyes meet. You know you leave me in a trance. It means everything to me looking down below. The one I seek to find, no matter where you might go. Remember you'll be on my mind.
Always watching over me, somehow you make me feel invisible. Power to my soul, yeah. How my easy things that used to bother me, cause your existence just lights me up, yeah. You always got my back, and of course I got your back. Don't you worry about that now. It's been a good day, good night. It's gonna be a good day, good night.
Within the inner
Welcome. What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? There we go. Here. All right. Welcome to the stream. Good afternoon. What's up? I've been good. How you been, bro? I hope everyone's having an amazing day. I hope y'all are doing great. What can I say? It's been a good day. Anyways, it is Wednesday, which means internet rabbit holes. And today, what speaks rabbit holes more than creepypasta? So we're really just gonna be reacting to a bunch of creepypasta stuff today. I don't know. Is any of it actually gonna be creepy? Definitely not. But look, scary stories. What can I say? It's interesting at least. I was gonna do Marble Racing, but I was like, yo, I don't know if Marble Racing can hold my attention for 3 hours. I'm not gonna lie. Marble Racing is cool and all, but for 3 hours. So, creepypasta. We got reactions. I got a couple videos lined up. Let's not waste time. Okay, the first one. When our town loses power, we light candles, not for ourselves, but for them. Ooh, scary. Yeah, let's go.
I was finishing up my afternoon shift at the gas station when the power flickered once, twice, then died for good. The store went silent,
Are these all audio only? Should I put on subtitles? Yeah, I'm gonna keep the subtitles on.
except for the hum of the old drink fridge winding down, and outside, the entire street had begun melting into darkness. For a moment, I stood behind the cash register, staring at
Hold on again a second. Are they all like just static images? Do not do that.
Of seeing the look in his eyes.
No, this one isn't static. This one is good. This one is static. Okay. See, look, the ones with the scenery shift, that's what we like to see. Those are the ones we like. These ones are low-key boring, bro. Like, you're showing me the same image the whole time. For the sake of a creepypasta, it works, but for the sake of the stream, not gonna work, so let's click off these two. We'll find more later, but for now, let's start with this 1 hour one. Um, this is why you can't go to Antarctica. Brilliant government conspiracy.
It's time to sit back and relax with your favorite drink. And listen.
Favorite drink? Water.
This is Why You Can't Go to Antarctica by Augustus Cordoba. Part 1. The wind out here screams like something alive, battering the glass of my cabin window hard enough to shake me awake. I'm Dr. Jim Latham, geophysicist, 5 weeks deep into hell aboard the naval vessel Asterion, cutting through the frozen black toward the bottom of the world. My fingers twitch as I flip open the dossier on my desk. Not from cold, but from the truth buried inside those pages. Sleep's just a fading memory. When I do close my eyes, I fall straight into the same nightmare. Endless voids under miles of ancient ice, and something down there waking up after sleeping for thousands of years.
Yeah.
I wake up soaked in sweat, even though the ship's always freezing. The doc says I'm not the only one losing it. The rest of the crew's getting torn up by these dreams too. Even the Asterion seems to hate where we're headed. Twice now the engines have died for no reason, and the chief engineer just shrugs. No answers, just silence. Our navigation gear's been acting up, feeding us coordinates that don't make sense, only to correct themselves seconds later. And the radios? Static mostly. But when we ran the recordings through analysis, it wasn't just noise. There were patterns, structured.
This already hitting like the first Godzilla movie. They detect these weird audio waves, and no, it wasn't just noise. It was patterns. It's the Muto. It's the Muto.
Intentional. This morning, the thermometer read minus 15 degrees Celsius. Through the porthole, I watched the icebergs drift past like sleeping giants. 9/10 of their bulk hidden underwater. Just like our mission, most of it concealed, dangerous, and way bigger than anyone's admitted. It all started 3 months ago. I just wrapped up a lecture at Columbia on seismic anomalies near the poles. And that's when they approached. 2 men in spotless military dress, out of place and too polished for comfort. Oh, and they weren't there for a chat. Turned out the government wanted me for a recovery operation at Outpost 13, a cold little dot on the map, built during the International Year of Geophysics back in 1966. Well, it sounded routine, but it wasn't. I remember the meeting clearly. My students had just filed out into the cool October night when the 2 men appeared. The older one, Colonel Renham, introduced himself.
Wait, okay, they're not in Antarctica yet, right? They're not?
His face was all war and ghosts, like he'd seen things that no one survived seeing.
The hell?
The other guy, Major Ryder, didn't say a word.
I'm gonna need YouTube to lock in, not gonna lie.
Just stood there scanning the empty rows like someone expecting gunfire or monsters, maybe both. Now here I am, 5 weeks out, heading straight for whatever the hell they buried beneath the ice. Something tells me it's not staying buried much longer. Your work on deep-sea seismology is unmatched, Dr. Latham, Renham had said, his voice like gravel. He dropped a folder on my desk, thick with classification stamps and warnings. Especially your theories on anomalous seismic echoes beneath the glaciers. I'd written those papers 3 years ago and got crucified for it. I'd suggested something massive was buried under the Antarctic ice, warping seismic signals in ways nobody wanted to talk about. The academic world laughed it off, called it faulty gear, bad readings, fantasy. My name became a cautionary tale, so I pivoted to safer topics and kept my head down.
That's what tends to happen.
You actually read those blacklisted papers? I asked, letting the bitterness bleed through. Well, an impressive background check.
Chat, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not sure if I could survive an hour of this. Creepypasta might not have been the move. Hold up. It's okay. We'll do some dark side of the internet stuff. It could still be scary stories, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Maybe in the background, yeah. But my attention span is too cooked to just have this playing for an hour. You know, not even really much to react to. But let's look at some like dark side of the internet stuff, I guess. Creepypasta was not the move. Yeah, this is the guy, Nick Crowley, YouTube's darkest videos. Internet's darkest. Let's watch this one. 30 minutes. Yeah, I love this guy. This guy we can react to. Peep. Alright, this is YouTube's darkest videos 8. Nick Crowley.
It was 2:46 p.m. when the ground began to shake. For residents of Anagawa, Japan, earthquakes were nothing new, but this one was different. It carried with it a violence that none of the locals had ever felt before, and by the time the shaking had stopped, everyone in the city seemed to be left in a momentary state of shock. This was especially true for the nearly 160 Chinese workers and students that had recently moved to the area, with most having never experienced any earthquake, let alone one of this magnitude. Of these workers were a tight-knit group of 20 women, who had recently been hired as trainees at a company called Sato Susan, a company that sold fresh seafood. And having been at work at the time of the quake, they frantically ran out of the building and stood in the street desperately trying to figure out what to do next, unaware of the fact that the real horrors were still yet to come. In Japan, it's not just the earthquakes you have to worry about, but the tsunamis that often follow, and usually the bigger the earthquake, the bigger the wave. And given that Anagawa was right on the sea and Sato Susan was directly on the shoreline, these women were now standing directly in the path of an impending disaster. Thankfully, their boss, Mitsudo Sato, was well aware of what was to come, and quickly he yelled to the women to seek higher ground. But given their unfamiliarity with the area, Sato knew that he would have to be the one to lead them there. The group readily listened, and they quickly followed Sato as he led them up a set of stairs on a nearby hill, where they eventually reached a shrine that overlooked Anagawa and the sea. It was the highest point in the area, and should keep them safe from what would likely be a massive influx of water. And sure enough, as they neared the top, Sato's fears were already coming true. As the sea had drastically retreated, it was now beginning to push forward, and things were only going to get worse from here. But despite understanding this, it wasn't a deterrent for Sato, as once he deemed the altitude safe enough for this group of women, he then turned around and began to walk back down the hill.
Sato the man, bro. Hitting them ladies up the are you ladies alright, bro? You gotcha, bro.
Towards the slowly flooding city. The girls yelled at him asking where he was going, which is when he revealed that down below in his home in Anagawa were his wife and his daughter, who were now directly in the path of this unfolding disaster, and he was going to save them. The girl screamed out to him, begging him not to go, as things had already become incredibly dangerous, but he didn't so much as turn his head as he stepped down onto the street and disappeared from their view. And it was at this time that one of those girls standing high atop the hill began to record.
Okay, W intro. W intro. Now finish the story. Don't leave us on a cliffhanger.
All my life, family has been super important to me. I love my family, but I also realize I don't know much about them, at least outside of my immediate family.
I also love your family, but I don't think we're here for Ancestry.com or whatever your sponsor is. But hey, get your bread. Get your bread.
The footage shows that the shoreline was no more, as the water had inundated the entire area as it slowly crept its way deeper and deeper into the city streets.
Yeah, that's an insane flood. You gotta stay
The women
high,
were
bro.
understandably in a panic, trying to make sense of this ordeal that they were now given a front row seat to. And as they record, we can hear them desperately calling out for Sato, but at no point do we see him. We just
gotta
know that
stay
he's down
elevated,
there,
man.
somewhere. And as the desperation in their pleas increases, so too does the fury of the water.
Oh. Bro, could you actually imagine experiencing a flood like this, bro? This shit would be mad scary. Shit would be mad, bro. I'm getting as high as possible. Top of the tallest building. I don't play with tsunamis, gang.
They could only watch as Anagawa as they knew it was completely eviscerated.
Yeah, like part of the states that we live in, like, you know, there's flash floods, but like not tsunamis like this. Like we get occasional hurricanes every couple of years, not even every couple, more than that. But yo, floods like this, yo, Japan is a cool place and all, but I couldn't imagine living there with all the earthquakes and tsunamis and active volcanic activity. Hell nah, bro. Japan is just like, bro, they could get packed up any moment.
And by this point, they realized that there was now essentially no hope for Sato. It was at this time that the women realized that despite already being at a considerable height, it still might not be enough, and so they ran even higher up the hill, desperately trying to get out of the path of this water.
Yeah, that's crazy. How high is the water gonna go?
And as they did so, they noticed something down below.
Oh, is that Sato?
Standing on a rooftop in the middle of this massive tsunami was Mitsuro Sato. The building that he stood on was
20 to 30 feet. Hell no. Hell no, bro. That's too much. That's too much. Yo, you're clapped no matter where you go. Well, like, unless you're in like a skyscraper, but 20 to 30 feet is insane.
once a full 2 stories off the ground, but was now just a few inches above the surface of the water.
Bro, look at how the water is near the roofs. Like, it's basically at the roofs, and this guy Sato is just casually walking along the roof. I mean, there's not much you can do, but damn.
The women again call out to him, this time even more frantically, but at this point, it was no use. And when the camera is taken off Sato for just a split second, we can hear just from the women's reaction the exact moment that he swept away. The recording stops shortly after and restarts minutes later, revealing that the streets where the women had been standing just moments before were now fully underwater, and the buildings that once stood around them were now reduced to nothingness. In front of them was a sea of death, and had Mitsuro
Bro. Right here, there was an entire town. A place where people lived in, bro. It looks like just nature came in and just reclaimed all of it, bro. It looks like just an ocean. You're just at the coast, bro. This is so insane. Nah, this is nightmare fuel, bro. This is the one thing that'll get me, bro. Water, hell nah.
Sato
we don't
not
mess
led
with
them
that.
up that hill, then all of these women would have certainly been a part of it. The date was March 11th, 2011,
Sato, man.
a day where Japan had been hit by its most devastating earthquake ever, with it ringing in at a magnitude 9.0, which in turn caused the nation's worst ever tsunami, as that day, 19,759 people would lose their lives, with Mitsuro Sato being one of them. But against all odds,
RIP.
his wife and daughter were not part of that death toll, as it's been reported that they were later found alive and unharmed. The devastation that occurred that day is incomprehensible, and all the footage of this disaster could warrant a place in this video, especially the footage of Anagawa, as you can see what it looked like before, during, and after. But what I found so interesting about this was all throughout this disaster were stories like Sato's, a man who risked his life to save 20 women that he hardly knew, and a man who gave his life trying to save his family, walking directly into the path of the worst natural disaster in modern Japanese history, all in an
This is a
attempt
hero,
to save.
bro. This is an absolute legend right here, bro. Yo, pour one out for Sato. This the GOAT. I mean, hey. It's heroic to say the least. It's
Save the ones
heroic.
that he loved. And I honestly find it quite beautiful that afterwards, these women adamantly shared his story and made sure that the world forever remembered Misuro Sato as the
Good
hero
looks.
that he was.
Good looks.
And of those
Thank you. We love to
160
see it.
Chinese migrants who worked in the area, it was later reported that not a single one of them perished, which speaks volumes about the people of Anagawa, who so readily put others' lives before their own.
Fire marshal is investigating a blaze in Georgetown. 2 people found dead inside the home, and so far it's not known how the fire started.
It was just past 5:30 a.m. on the 17th of February 2021 when residents of a small neighborhood in Georgetown, Ontario were woken by the sound of sirens blaring.
Bro, OBS is so like bad. Like OBS is constantly on something. I don't know why like the miniature screen on OBS is flickering. I mean, stream looks fine, the video is fine, but that's mad annoying. Anyways,
One man frantically grabbed his cell phone and rushed outside to record the unfolding scene, where he was met with a horrific sight. His neighbor's home was fully engulfed in flames. It must have happened quickly, as by the time rescue workers even arrived on the scene, there was already little hope of saving the house, or any of its occupants. It would take hours before that blaze was finally quelled, revealing the charred devastation inside, as firefighters would find the remains of 56-year-old Christina Rirak and 59-year-old Andrew Rirak within the home's garage. The cause of this fire was initially unknown, but quickly the situation was deemed suspicious when experts determined that the fire had started as a result of some sort of explosion that had happened within the garage where the couple's bodies were found. This was later confirmed by security footage obtained from a neighbor who lived across the street, capturing the moments when it suddenly ignited around 5:27 a.m.
wow.
There was clearly something off with this case, and things only became more sinister following the autopsies of Andrew and Christina, which revealed that they hadn't actually died in that fire, and instead, both of them had been stabbed to death.
Nah. Hold up. What? So someone stabbed them to death and set off an explosion to get rid of the evidence, I assume? Bro. Yo, an old couple, an elderly couple, for what? Yo, hold up.
With Andrew also being badly beaten. This fire wasn't started to kill them, it was started to cover up their murder. And it did a good job of it too, as the scene was now left completely destroyed, with very little evidence being left behind. But there was something else investigators thought to check. That's security footage. The camera had been facing the garage where all of this carnage seemed to have happened, and so they thought maybe if they looked back far enough,
Insanely
it could at the
evil.
very least show what had led up to this brutal attack. And so they rewound that footage, going back hours and hours, during all of which the garage had remained perfectly still, until they got all the way back to 6:42 of the day prior, February 16th.
Okay. Car heading into the garage. Bro, the music in the background really set in the ambience. The ambiance.
The film showed the moments that the couple had arrived home together inside of Christina's car, which Andrew had been driving that night, as he pulled uneventfully into the garage. This was the last time this couple was seen alive on camera, which on its own is disturbing enough. But as it turns out, there was something far more unsettling about this footage, as it revealed the fact that Christina and Andrew weren't alone.
Whoa, wait. Someone walked into the garage after they entered. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Now that's creepy. Someone walked into the garage after they parked inside. What
The footage
hell?
showed a tall figure, its features completely shrouded in darkness, almost as if it were a shadow, with this figure lying in wait out of sight on the side of the house, until right after Andrew pulls the car into the garage, when this person slips in behind them.
Yo, this guy was waiting.
It's impossible to say for
This is
sure if the couple
planned.
noticed this person or not, but it appears that they likely didn't, as they both start to exit the vehicle, to which the figure then ducks down in an attempt to avoid detection. Until the garage door begins to slowly close. Either Christina or Andrew would make it out of that garage alive, as just seconds after this footage, they both would be brutally murdered by this unidentified person. The footage is terrifying and speaks to that innate fear in most of us, the fear of being followed.
Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. Yeah. Yeah, we never going outside again. Staying at home. Staying in here. This is where it's safe. This is where it's safe. Never leaving this house again. Got it. Say less. Bro, that is insanely creepy. Bro, he was waiting for them. What did he even want from them? Why did he kill them?
Of being watched and attacked in the moments where we least expect it. It's paranoia-inducing, and made even more off-putting by the fact that this clearly seemed to be premeditated. Whoever this was knew their schedule and had been waiting for them to arrive home, in a place where they knew they wouldn't be seen. But by this point, their motivation was as unknown as their identity. Following the discovery of this footage, bits and pieces were released to the press in order to get the public's help in identifying this unknown assailant. It represented a rare instance of a killer being clearly caught on camera right before committing a crime, but that's also what made this case so frustrating, as despite the video capturing this person, none of their features were discernible at all. Unsurprisingly, the footage didn't
It's that terrible 04 camera quality, bro. Like, every time, the security camera footage, even if it's in 2025, it's always like 480p. It's so bad for
bring
some
in
reason.
any relevant leads, but it at the very least showed investigators that whoever this person was knew the couple, due to its obvious premeditation. Though when looking into both Andrew and Christina, it was clear that neither of them really had any enemies in their life, with the exception of one. Harrison Brown was a 27-year-old employee at a company called Rogue Transportations, of which Christina happened to be the vice president of operations, and during his time there, Harrison was known to be abrasive and combative, with Christina often having to be the one to reprimand him, leading to Harrison resenting her. It isn't clear how police were tipped off about this strained working relationship, but they had somehow grown suspicious enough of Harrison to pay his home a visit, and what they found inside showed that this resentment he had towards Christina had actually morphed into a twisted obsession.
Okay, so because she had to reprimand you at work, you decided to off her and her husband at home? Yeah. So some people, their brains just do not work right. 'Cause
Inside,
what
police
the
found
hell?
satellite images of the Rerex home, along with the software on the man's computer and cell phone that showed that on the 12th of February, he had secretly attached a tracking device to Christina's car, and he had been tracking her movements for days, which is precisely how he knew when she would be arriving home. And as if this revelation wasn't damning enough, they would also find a broken knife in his garage that contained trace amounts of Christina's blood. It was obvious what Harrison had done, and when confronted with this evidence, there was nothing more he could say other than the truth. So he admitted he had grown a hatred for Christina because of the way that she had treated him at work, and he decided that he needed to get his revenge. That's when he purchased this tracking device and
So your revenge for the way she treated you at work wasn't to just leave or to report her to like HR or something else. Your revenge was to track her, stalk her obsessively, and then kill her and her husband. Okay, yeah, lock him up, give this guy life. In fact, electric chair, firing squad, end it.
began obsessing over her movements, studying them before finding the perfect time and place to strike. And on February 16th, he waited outside the Rerex home and snuck into their garage before attacking and killing them both. After the assault, Harrison would leave the home, where he began to grow paranoid about being caught, and so he returned to the house the very next morning to start that fire, with the hopes being that the blaze would cover up his tracks. Though thankfully, this didn't work, and after pleading guilty to 2 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of arson, Harrison Brown would be sentenced to life in prison.
Life might not be enough. Let's let's just, like, it's just one shot to the dome. Because that's actually insane. You got in trouble at work, so you decided to off them. That's genuinely insane. Can we get a grip?
I've got an unresponsive female. I got a male in the car, refusing to get out.
It's the eve of Thanksgiving, 2015. Police officer Patrick Feaster sits in his cruiser parked alongside the road in the town of Paradise, California, waiting for his first action of this uncharacteristically quiet night. His car was facing the direction of a well-known local cantina, which patrons were known to drive away from under the influence. And sure enough, as the clock approached midnight, the calmness around Feaster would be shattered by the sight of a car speeding out of the restaurant's parking lot. The car went unseen by Feaster's dashcam, but not by Feaster himself, as he took off, doing his best to catch up with the car that was now speeding down the road, and within a few seconds, he does. As the car slowly comes into frame for the first time, inside that vehicle was 26-year-old Andrew Thomas and his ex-wife, 23-year-old Darian Aaron. Andrew had been drinking heavily that night and was well over the legal limit, with his driving showing as much as he failed to pull over once Feaster approached him, resulting in a police chase that would only end up lasting just a few seconds.
Oh, he crashed? Wait. Also, why is he in the car with his ex-wife?
All 20, rollover TC, Pearson, just east of
Yeah,
Black
he
Hollow.
immediately crashed.
Copy, rollover TC east of Black
Code
Hollow.
3.
As Andrew would drive his car directly into a median, causing the SUV to flip over violently before coming to a halt on its side. In that instant, Darian was ejected from the vehicle, being thrown straight through the windshield and landing onto the asphalt.
Oh, that's what that blur was. I had a feeling, bro. Oh my goodness, bro. Drunk drivers are a different type of evil, bro. Like, you're not only putting your life in danger, you're putting other people's lives in danger. Like, that's not okay, man. That's not okay.
Where, despite still being alive, her injuries were likely unsurvivable. But Andrew, on the other hand, was still inside the vehicle, and he seemed to have been left relatively unharmed, as perhaps being boosted by adrenaline.
Oh, of course. Of course. Of course, the one who was actually driving is fine, yeah.
He quickly tried to crawl his way out of the car in a desperate attempt to check on Darian, with Officer Feaster's dashcam capturing the entire ordeal. Though just as Andrew attempted to do so, we see Feaster step into the frame, where he suddenly draws his gun, and without saying a single word, fires 2 shots at Andrew, with one of the bullets appearing to strike him, causing his body.
Whoa. Driving at night has to be the scariest thing. Driving at night isn't that bad. It depends. It depends. It depends on the weather. It depends on a bunch of other conditions. But in general, it's not bad as long as you're not drunk. But this cop, okay, so there's 2 types of evil going on here. Bro, he didn't even say anything. He just straight up shot him. Hello? No de-escalation, no, hey, it's the police, put your hands behind your, put your hands in the air, blah, 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 get on your knees. Like, he just immediately started firing? Holy trigger happy, bro. What the hell?
Body to go limp as he falls back into the car. It happened in a literal instant, so fast that it's clear Feaster had most likely accidentally discharged his weapon, as there was no attempt at communication before the shot was fired, with Andrew clearly posing no risk to him, as both.
Yeah, he did pose no risk. There was no communication. Okay, my bad. I jumped the gun. It was an accidental discharge. 2 shots, though. Yikes.
Of his hands were being used to hoist himself up.
I feel like even accidentally, though, the ramifications, like, bro has to be suspended, at least.
From the footage, this all seems to be a horrible accident, and one that Feaster seemed to recognize right away, as he rushed up to the car, pointing his flashlight at the man that he had just shot, staring at him for over 10 seconds, trying to make sense of what he had just done, before he finally snaps out of it, and uses his radio to call for backup. Though this is when this already dark video starts to become much more disturbing.
Whoa. It can't get worse than this.
I've got an unresponsive female. I got a male in the car refusing to get out.
When Feaster makes this call, he
But they have access to your dash cam and your body cam. Why would you even try to lie? He refuses to get out. You shot him.
never mentions the shooting, and instead he states that the driver was refusing to get out of the vehicle. This is then followed by Feaster walking away from the man and pointing his flashlight to the ground, almost as if he was looking for something.
Copy. Give your cross on Black Olive.
Pearson.
Copy. Black Olive and Pearson.
With some theorizing that he was looking for his shell casings. Though
You're getting fired. Ooh, you're getting fired. You're so fired. You deserve to be fired. What the hell was that?
right then, another officer arrives on the scene and begins to survey the wreckage.
Just her?
No, there's a male in the car refusing to get out.
Where, again, Feaster says that Andrew was refusing to get out of the car, making no mention of the fact that he had just shot him. It's clear at this point what Feaster was trying to do. He was trying to cover up his accident, but this suddenly became more difficult when Andrew started to speak.
Okay, we got one. He's refusing to.
Oh, he's alive. If Feaster, you should have just said I accidentally shot him, bro. Bro, it would be less problematic for you if you were honest. You probably get suspended, but I don't think you lose your
Get out.
job.
Get out of the car, sir.
I don't think you go to jail. I mean, manslaughter, we've seen cops get away with worse.
You're not shot, sir. Get out of the car.
Andrew Thomas was still alive and had muttered to Feaster that he had been shot, but even to his face, Feaster denies it. Shortly after, Andrew then tries to tell the other cop what had happened.
Sir, you come out of the car. This car is still on, and I don't want you to get hurt.
Behind him?
What do you think you got shot?
Yeah, I was right there. I saw it.
Did you get shot at the cantina? Who shot you? The cop did not shoot you.
But understandably, this other cop wasn't believing him, as surely Feaster would have said something at this point.
Man, bad cops are just bad cops, bro. Like, this sucks. This sucks.
And so the minutes start to pass, and after 5 full minutes, Feaster continues processing the scene like nothing had happened, with the other officer being left to theorize that Andrew must have been seriously injured and was likely in a state of shock, which is why he was making all of these strange claims about being shot.
Oh. Bro. I feel like, aren't guns really hard to, like, fire, though? He accidentally discharged it twice. Damn. Oh my god.
Maybe hurt in there. Yeah, I know he is. He's in shock at the very least.
From here, the footage cuts, and we're only left with the audio from that same officer's body cam, as he attempts to get more information from Andrew.
Sir, I need you to talk to me so I know you're okay. Sir, take a look at me. Did you bump your head?
But by this point, he had gone completely silent.
I don't know if he's serious or not.
10 minutes later, the footage then cuts back on, this time to another officer's body cam, which shows that an ambulance had now finally arrived on the scene, with medics first directing their attention to Darian, who was in the worst shape, as she would tragically be pronounced dead shortly after. But despite all of these first responders on the scene, none of them had any idea that the man inside that vehicle had just been shot, and shot by one of their colleagues. And in these moments, Andrew was slowly losing his life as each minute passed. It would take 11 full minutes before Feaster finally confessed.
Sir, you hold this scene, Manny, with me. We're going.
He confessed, but it's too late, bro. Also, if they think he's seriously hurt, shouldn't they have paramedics on the way?
Going over to the cantina to find out if this guy.
I wasn't even pointing at him.
Saying that he might have shot the man, but he wasn't sure. And immediately after saying this,
Oh my God, are you serious?
the recording is
Yeah, see? Yeah, see? Look at the other cop. Look at the other cop. Oh my effing god. Are you serious? Yes, because this is a nightmare situation. Bro.
stopped, and the footage comes to an end. Sure enough, in that moment, Officer Patrick Feaster had in fact shot Andrew Thomas, with a bullet striking him directly in the neck. And the reason why he wasn't getting out of his vehicle was because that gunshot had left him fully paralyzed from the neck down. His condition was awful, and made worse by the length of time that it took for him to receive proper treatment.
I mean, again, my sympathy for him isn't the highest because also he was driving while incredibly drunk to begin with. But this is not a good situation on either side. Come on, man.
And despite fighting for weeks, Andrew Thomas would lose his life less than 1 month later due to that gunshot wound. After
It's unfortunate. It shouldn't have been the gunshot. At most, it probably should have been the car crash that he got them into. But it should not have been the gunshot. That should not have been the way it happened, man.
afterwards, Feaster admitted that he did fire his gun, but claimed that in the moment he wasn't actually sure if he had hit Andrew. But many found this hard to believe, as his gun clearly goes off while he's pointing it at Andrew, and he clearly gets a good view of him immediately after the fact. Not to mention the fact that Andrew literally told him over and over again that he was shot. But for many, by far the most incriminating moment was when Feaster appeared to be looking for his shell casings. And because of his actions, Officer Patrick Feaster would be found guilty of manslaughter and receive a prison sentence of 180 days.
Okay, are we dead us?
A decision that was heavily contested but ultimately upheld. And while no one is defending Andrew Thomas's decision to drink and drive that night, Feaster's use of deadly force and his blatant attempt at covering it up make this footage harrowing nonetheless.
Yeah, it's the fact that he covered it up, bro. I mean, 180 days is better than he deserves, but come on, man. He got off lucky, in my opinion. There are many who believe that Officer Feaster intentionally shot Andrew that day. It's difficult to explore this theory without being able to show the full footage, so I recommend looking up the case for yourself. I don't think it was intentional.
This for real, bro. I don't got no problem with giving back, man. I'm the only one out here with a show that's actually giving back, you feel me? And I got proof to show it.
It's May 2013. 23-year-old Quamaine Wilson arrives at his local bank in Chicago, Illinois to deposit $20,000 cash, which he planned on giving out to groups of his most adoring fans.
Man, about to go get this $1,000 out for the fans, man. Really, I'm gonna take out $20,000, man. Just to show people, you feel me, I'm on a whole different level with this.
To this point, Quamaine had carved out a respectable following on his YouTube channel, where he acted in a series called The Nick Story.
One more word out your mouth, and that's your last. It's your life. I'm gonna take it myself and put it in my graveyard with the rest of them.
Along with posting music he made under
W acting, W music. It's a good show of character though, bro. Like, not immediately, but I mean, I guess the goal behind it was to show that he's on a different level. But at the end of the day, he was giving out $20K to fans, bro. That's good looks.
the name Young QC.
Out her song, but not until she's. I know she will. I'm gonna get you.
Based on his viewership alone, his success was apparent, and he wasn't shy about showing off the wealth that he claimed to have accrued as a result of it, posting photos and videos of himself flaunting large amounts of cash across his social media pages. But this video was by far his most boastful yet, as he would take that $20,000 and throw it into the air for all of his fans to fight over.
Okay, never mind. Never mind. I take it back. Yeah, you'd think he would do it in an organized way, but he really is just flexing. He threw $20K into a crowd of people. SMH.
With Quamaine clearly relishing in the opportunity to show off his riches, despite the fact that behind the scenes, things weren't quite as they seemed. The truth was, Quamaine had actually earned very little from his channel despite its viewership, with this being on account of his videos containing copywritten music and the fact that he only had a dozen or so uploads. In fact, his social media flexing had started well before he even made his first video, as in reality, all of this money was coming straight from his mother, Yolanda Holmes.
If I find out that this boy is stealing from his mother, oh, we're gonna have issues. We're gonna have issues. We're gonna have problems, bro. The fuck? You're flexing your mama's money. Not only is that lame, but if I find out he's stealing from his mom, nah.
Having started a successful business in Chicago, Yolanda made a great living for herself and Quamain. And being her only son, Quamain was given just about anything he could have asked for. She would buy him designer clothes, jewelry, and even the Mustang seen in this video.
Okay.
But for Quamain,
At least it doesn't seem like he's stealing, but yeah, she's spoiling
it
him.
never seemed to be enough. He wanted to achieve a life of fame and riches, and he used his mother's finances to sell the illusion that he already had, asking her again and again to purchase him things that could help him sell this dream, until one day, it all came crashing down when Yolanda would tragically lose her life. Just like that, Quamain's entire support system had fallen out beneath his feet, leaving him without his mother and without the provider who was funding his entire.
Okay, I see where this is going. What happened to his mom? What happened to his mom? My fault, that was loud. What happened to his mom? Come on. Come on.
Life. But strangely, this didn't seem to stop his lavish online presence.
Oh yeah, it didn't? It didn't? Yeah. Lock this guy up. Bro, torture him in the most unimaginable ways possible. I know what you did. Your own moms for bread. For bread. I thought he stole from her. Now he straight up murdered her for bread. Nah, pack him up.
In fact, his spending only seemed to increase after this, as this footage of him giving away money to fans actually took place after the death of his mother, which became extremely off-putting for law enforcement, as Yolanda hadn't simply passed away, and instead, she had been brutally murdered. Quamain had learned something shortly before Yolanda's passing, that not only were his mother's savings entirely willed to him, but she had also taken out 2 life insurance policies, in which he was the sole beneficiary. And despite Yolanda giving him anything that he could have asked for, it seemed that by this point, Quamain had simply grown tired of having to ask.
Oh my goodness, bro. Nah, this one killed my mood, I'm not gonna lie. Bro, if you thought the rest was evil, this is evil, bro. Nah, like you really can't be spoiling your kids OD like this, because come on, bro. Oh my goodness. Okay, yeah, no one's talking about the last guy. They're talking about the cop, but bro.
And so, on September 2nd, 2012,
No, this one's killing me.
he would offer his friend Eugene Spencer $3,500 to kill his own mother. Eugene accepted the offer, and that night,
Your own mom's, who was already giving you everything you wanted, bro.
he would travel to the apartment of Yolanda Holmes late at night, where he entered her room and shot her multiple times as she slept. At the time, her boyfriend had been sleeping next to her, and despite jumping up and doing his best to fight off the attacker, Eugene would eventually beat him unconscious before fleeing the scene. Eugene would call Quamain immediately after the attack to tell him that the job was.
I mean, it's crazy though, because this is like your own son. Imagine not being able to trust your own kid, bro. Like, it is kind of her fault because she raised him terribly, obviously. That's a reflection of her parenting. But, bro.
Done. But rather than feeling
Greed on biblical proportions of greed. What's the hell?
any sort of guilt, Quamain instead had no emotion, and he simply stated, "Make sure the bitch is dead." And so Eugene went back up to that unit, this time brandishing a knife, and repeatedly stabbed Yolanda until he was absolutely certain she was gone. And with that, Quamain Holmes was a rich man, and it only cost him the life of his own mother. For a moment, the crime had worked perfectly. The police were left with no concrete leads as to who might have killed Yolanda, and the public largely believed that it was her boyfriend, whom Eugene had knocked unconscious. But no one even thought to look at Quamain. And recognizing that he was in the clear, his behavior grew brazen almost immediately.
Quamain Wilson lost his mother to gun violence on November 14th.
My mother, she was a neighborhood woman. A guy entered her home, and murdered her, just to steal.
As he went on TV to talk about his mother's murder, where he peddled the theory to the public that this was some sort of botched robbery, all the while he showed no emotion. He wouldn't even wait a full week before depositing the money, as he took out $90,000 within just the first few days, and immediately began showing it off to his followers.
Yeah, bro. Chinese water torture for this guy. Make sure
And in
it
this footage
lasts.
where he gave away that $20,000, throwing it into the air as if it meant nothing to him, every cent of that had come from the death of his own mother, a death in which he was entirely responsible for. It would take over a full year for Quamain and Eugene to be caught, with police largely being tipped off by his online antics. And in the end, Eugene was given a 100-year prison sentence, while Quamain received 99 years, with his legacy now permanently defined by his creation of one of YouTube's darkest videos.
Oh, wow. The first one was heartbreaking because it's a natural disaster. I mean, who can really control those? Oh, this damn camera. Who can really control natural disasters, right? And it was a sacrifice play, and then you had Crooked Cop, murderer who murdered an elderly couple because she reprimanded him at work, I guess. And this absolute piece of trash guy who killed his own moms. But hey, it's the evil world that we truly do live in. But with that, that's the end of the video. Take care, stay blessed. I love you, God loves you. Ooh. Okay, that's one video. We still got like at least an hour and a half to stream. Give me a second. I gotta throw something away. I gotta figure out this camera. Uh okay. On to the next. The end of that one was that one ruined my mood. Not gonna front. Um, let's look at the internet's darkest videos, number 7. I don't think I've seen number 7. Oh, there's no number 7. What the hell? Oh, there is. Oh, my bad. In fact, let's do a different series. Let's do the internet's darkest corners, number 6. Internet's Darkest Corners, number 6, Morning Crowley.
Fifth alarm. Working structure fire. 7741 Liberty Road Drive.
It's 9 a.m. on May 18th, 2024. Residents of Charlotte, North Carolina wake up to the smell and sight of black smoke billowing up into the sky. The source: a massive 7-story apartment complex, home to 239 luxury units. Or at least what—
Wait, chat, give me a second. I'm probably gonna have to restart that. But, give me a moment. I gotta... Real quick, I gotta do something real quick to deal with this camera, because I really do not like this auto darkening feature whenever I get close. Like, you see that? That's so stupid. There we go. I say less. Like, I think that's good. I think that's good. Alright, so we are reacting to the Internet's Darkest Corners 6.
Fifth alarm. Working structure fire. 7741 Liberty Road Drive.
It's 9 a.m. on May 18th, 2024. Residents of Charlotte, North Carolina wake up to the smell and sight of black smoke billowing up into the sky. The source: a massive 7-story apartment complex, home to
It's still doing it. It's still doing it. It's incredibly annoying. There we go. Just gonna... Yeah, that's a little dark. Not gonna lie, not gonna lie. I think that fixed it. White balance. Okay. Yeah, I think it's good. I think it's good. I think it's good. Say less. Say less. Say less. Yeah. Let's finally watch the Internet's Darkest Corners.
239 luxury units, or at least what should have been luxury units. At the time, the structure was still under construction, meaning that thankfully no residents were living there. But this in and of itself presented two major problems. The first was that, in its current state, the top 5 floors were primarily just the bones of the structure, made almost entirely of wood and insulation, making the building as a whole extremely flammable, meaning that although the fire had started out relatively small, it was quickly going to consume the entire complex if it wasn't put out quickly. Which brings us to the second and even more glaring problem. The building was actively under construction when the fire started, and that morning 17 construction workers had clocked in, all of whom were now in grave danger. And by the time the firefighters arrived on the scene, the situation was already dire. And so firefighters rushed in, finding a large group of the employees and leading them out to safety. Though when they made it outside, they made the horrifying realization that they had only found 15 of them. Somewhere within that labyrinth of burning wooden walls, 2 men were left behind, trapped and calling out to anyone who might hear them. And these pleas weren't just being made to those on the scene, as in the following minutes, one of the trapped men, 30-year-old DeMonte Sherrill, would take out his phone, open up Facebook, and go live, revealing the horrifying reality that both he and his friend had found themselves in.
Somebody send help, we're in South Park. Help!
Today, we're going to be showing our friends the basics of the internet, and we thought you might want to come along.
You gotta do it now or never. What are you doing? Yo, what the?
If you own a computer, here's how to get the most out of it. Watch this, watch this, watch this.
Yo, I'm at South Park right now, at work, and the building on fire, and I can't get out.
The stream showed DeMonte Sherrill and his friend Ruben Holmes somewhere deep within the prospective apartment complex, and though the fire hadn't yet reached them, the smoke certainly had, blanketing them in a thick impenetrable fog, not only making breathing extremely difficult, but also making it nearly impossible for rescuers to see them.
It's getting harder and harder for them to see us. We're gonna have to stand out here and see. The building on fire, I'm trapped inside, me and my man.
Nah, okay, this is an unfortunate situation, bro. This is why, like, shout out to the people who do construction and mining and all that stuff, because, bro, the fear I have of getting into, like, a mining accident or something like this, or it's, like, something in the air, bro, the amount of stories you hear, hell no. I can never be a miner with an E, can never really, like, do construction OD like this.
This was likely one of the reasons why DeMonte chose to start this livestream, hopeful that it could show rescuers exactly where they were. But based on the footage, their positioning was far from ideal. They were on the second highest floor, floor 6, which had only one access point, a single stairway that was on the complete opposite side of the building. And based on their testimony in the footage, something had clearly blocked their path to that one remaining exit, meaning that the only other way out would be to jump. Though at 6 stories in the air, and falling into what would likely be the heart of the fire, this would have meant certain death. There was quite literally nowhere for them to go. Rescue was their only hope.
Bro, seeing that this video is called The Internet's Darkest Corners, I have a feeling that they might not be making it out, unfortunately.
Yo, this building is on fire. I'm at work. Somebody send help, we're in South Park.
Seemingly realizing this, DeMonte began to grow more desperate, yelling out into the void of smoke, while Ruben can be seen in the background waving his phone flashlight, with both men doing anything they could to help rescuers find them. Before... the stream abruptly ends.
Whoa.
Rescuers were aware of the unfolding situation on the 6th story. They first tried to reach the men by using a massive crane with a basket attached, which can actually be seen in DeMonte's livestream. Though in it, you can see that it's also facing the complete wrong direction, as the smoke was just that impenetrable. However, at one point, it's believed that the crane operator did actually see these men, but the blaze was just too extreme, leading to the operator himself having to be rescued. This left only one real option for saving DeMonte and Ruben. They were going to have to go in after them. And so they climbed that stairway up to floor 6 and started their trek to the opposite end of the structure. Though before they could even make it halfway, the rescuers were relegated to a slow crawl as the inferno around them raged more and more intensely, and the smoke grew thicker and thicker. Though that's when they began to hear screaming. Somewhere lost in that maze, Ruben and DeMonte were yelling as loud as they could for help.
Bro, I don't think they're gonna make it out, gang. I don't think they're gonna make it out. Oh.
This sound was a sign that they were getting close, though just then rescuers would be met with another sound.
All companies working 7741 Liberty Road Drive, evacuate structure, per command. All companies working 7741 Liberty Road Drive, evacuate structure.
Command all companies, this will be defensive at this time. We'll be ready for this side to collapse. Everybody get out of the collapse zone. Confirming you are coming out, but you're not out of the building.
With the order being made for all of them to evacuate, as by this point, the structure was engulfed in flames, and a collapse was imminent. The firefighters tried to call out to the two in one last attempt to guide them towards rescue, but they never came. In fact, at that point, the structure fell eerily silent. They would leave that structure without DeMonte or Ruben, and minutes later, the fire consumed the entire building, with the temperature inside reaching 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit, before
it collapsed.
It would eventually topple to the ground. And inside, DeMonte and Ruben would become the sole fatalities of this catastrophe.
Yo,
wow, bro.
I'm at South Park right now, at work, and the building on fire, and I can't get out. It's getting harder and harder for them to see us.
Knowing how this story ends would make this live stream difficult for anyone to watch, but what I find most upsetting about it is that the majority of those who initially watched this were his own friends and family that followed him on Facebook, with these viewers including his own mother. And a lot of them probably had no idea he even worked this job, as he had just been hired that week. His brother had also caught the stream as it was happening and actually rushed over to the scene where he pleaded with the firefighters to watch the footage. But despite doing the best they could, there was just too much working against them to save DeMonte and Ruben. Following an investigation into the fire, it was discovered that the crew was using an organic foam insulation, which was known to be extremely flammable and produce thick black smoke. And this became deadly when the machine used to spray that insulation caught fire, sending the whole building up in flames, where they had yet to install any sort of smoke detector or alarm system to alert the crew of a fire. Making matters worse, there had been a temporary set of stairs made right where the two men had been trapped, but that stairwell had just been removed in order to make way for the permanent set of stairs. Because of this and a myriad of other issues, the companies involved with this construction were forced to pay a fine of $50,000 and are currently being sued by the families of both victims. But regardless of the outcome, nothing will ever make up for the loss of DeMonte Sherrill and Ruben Holmes.
Rest in peace, man. It's just unfortunate accidents like this that happen. Ooh.
Things were getting concerning. Johnny Cashman spoke to his family nearly every single day, but now, on the 6th day without receiving any communication from him, they knew that something was wrong. Johnny lived in Lynchburg, Virginia, hundreds of miles away from his home in Maine, and so, being unable to check on him themselves, they called police in the area and requested a welfare check. Police entered Johnny's apartment on the 19th of April, 2022, and hours later, they would call his parents with the news that they had found their son dead on the floor. According to the officers, Johnny had experienced some sort of medical event that led to GI bleeding that ultimately claimed his life. But this made no sense to Johnny's family. He was only 38 years old and had just been given a clean bill of health after a full medical exam only 4 months prior. It was so out of the blue, in fact, that they even asked if there were any signs of a struggle or if there was any evidence that he may have taken his own life. But they were assured that there was no trauma, no drugs, and nothing suspicious found on the scene, and that, as shocking as it was, his cause of death was entirely natural.
Whoa. What's going on here? Poison?
And had likely just been spurred on by drinking and tobacco use, with the only solace being that Johnny didn't suffer, as they stated that he had died instantly. Because of this, no autopsy was performed, as the case seemed as straightforward as it gets.
That's not how that works. You perform an autopsy. That's what? What? Yo, fire these guys. Perform the autopsy.
And despite his family questioning if they should get their own autopsy, they were told by officers that it wouldn't be necessary. And so, Johnny's body was cremated and sent back to Maine, in what seemed to be the end of Johnny Cashman's story. Ten days after Johnny's body was discovered, his ex-girlfriend and her mother made their way back to his apartment in order to retrieve some of her belongings. She knew that re-entering the space was going to be difficult, but ultimately there was no way she could have prepared for what was waiting for her inside. There was blood everywhere. It was pooled in the bathrooms, wiped on doors, spread all over the living space, and was even found on a chair and a banister. But the most horrifying part of it all was the walls. They were covered in splattered blood, which revealed long streaking handprints.
So the police saw this and were like, yeah, pretty straightforward, natural causes, GI, internal bleeding in the GI. You know, it happens. He just had blood diarrhea everywhere and just got it all over the house. What can I say? He died instantly, right? Yeah. Bro. I can't take some people seriously, gang.
It was something straight out of a horror movie, and although Johnny's cause of death was deemed natural, what they found in that apartment...
What about that seems natural? Hello? Am I tripping?
...seemed anything but. Traumatized by what they were witnessing, the pair snapped multiple photos of the bloodshed and ran out of the unit, directly into Johnny's neighbor. This neighbor revealed that they believed something far worse than a medical emergency had happened to Johnny, as they had a security camera mounted to their door which faced Johnny's unit, and on the day of his passing, it captured something incredibly disturbing. The footage shows Johnny making his way up the flight of stairs leading to his apartment at around 3:03 p.m. Nothing seems out of the ordinary at all, though it is noteworthy that he was holding an empty glass, perhaps insinuating that he had been drinking. But this doesn't seem to impair his movements much at all, as he punches in the code and enters his home, just as he did every other day. But moments later, something happens inside that unit, and while it goes unseen, it doesn't go unheard.
Oh, dude, what the fuck? What are you doing? Yo, what the fuck, dude? What are you doing, man?
I'm convinced there's no way there was nothing wrong with his body. What do you mean there was no signs of trauma? There was no nothing. It seemed like a natural death. There's no shot. There's no shot. Bro.
What are you doing, man? Stop. 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 Stop.
The audio seems to depict a man yelling, asking repeatedly, "What are you doing?" and begging for something to stop. On top of this, you can also hear loud thuds and banging, almost as if things were falling over inside, or there was some sort of physical altercation, before the unit then goes quiet just a few seconds later. It was unclear if this voice was Johnny's, or perhaps someone else who had been inside the unit, but regardless, one thing was apparent from this audio. There was someone else in that apartment, despite the fact that Johnny lived alone. And just 7 minutes later, this unseen person would emerge.
You know, I swear, whoever found his body, they weren't even trying. They were like, I mean, He might have gotten murdered. Let's just say it was natural causes. Cremate the body. No need for an autopsy. I'm not trying to have a long day at work. Like, are we serious? Are we serious? It didn't look like there was any foul play at all. There's no way. There's no way. And this guy just casually walks out the front door.
This clearly wasn't Johnny, and after leaving the unit, the anonymous man nearly makes it out of the building before he seems to change his mind. Turning around and walking back up the stairs before fiddling with the door handle, touching it only with his sleeve, like he was wiping off his fingerprints. He then walks down the stairs and stops once again, where he seems to be in a state of shock over whatever had just transpired, before he composes himself and walks out of the building. But the footage wasn't quite finished yet. Just 1 minute later, you can hear Johnny shouting for help from inside the apartment, to which moments after, he stops, and no further sound or activity would come from Johnny's unit until police arrived 5 days later. The footage and the scene at the apartment seemed to contradict what Johnny's family had been told about his death.
Later.
The blood all over made it obvious that Johnny's death had not happened in an instant, and this, coupled by—
Exactly. What? What kind of lie? It happened instantly? There was blood everywhere.
The presence of this unknown man who was clearly distraught and wiping off his fingerprints, as well as the sound of the apparent struggle inside, seemed to point towards something much more sinister than what was initially conveyed to the family. But even with this footage, police still believed that Johnny's death was due to a medical emergency, as they quickly changed their initial story, saying that the blood spread was due to uncontrollable vomiting, and that Johnny had in fact likely suffered, at least for a short while.
Okay, so like, are the police trying to cover something up, or what's happening? What the hell?
But this medical emergency wasn't elaborated on, as they didn't—
Are they trying to cover something else? Cover something up? Because, bro, the footage, y'all not even compelled to investigate a little bit? What kind of, which authorities they put in charge of this? Because y'all aren't even trying.
Truly know what caused it, as no autopsy was ever performed, nor could one ever be performed, as by this point, Johnny was already cremated, and cremated because of the officer's initial statements. So if Johnny had actually been murdered, which the footage does seem to suggest, there was now virtually no way to prove it. And what makes this even more frustrating is that law enforcement already had this footage. It was collected that very day, and they either didn't fully look through it or didn't think that this was overly suspicious. But everyone else surely did. And soon this video began making the rounds online, leading to one glaring question being asked. Who is this man? As no one in Johnny's life recognized him. Well, it wouldn't be until May 11th that investigators would finally ID him as Stephen Church. And upon being questioned, he revealed that he had moved to Lynchburg for work, but the opportunity he had lined up fell through shortly after he arrived, leaving him with no money and without a place to stay, which is when he met Johnny, who offered to let him crash on his couch. He supposedly stayed with Johnny for 3 days, and described Johnny as an alcoholic who drank constantly, including on that fateful day. When Johnny arrived home, Stephen claims that he started drunkenly yelling at him about paying rent, which led to the two getting into a verbal altercation, but he insisted that this altercation never turned physical, and that he left immediately after, to which he quickly went back to clean his prints because he was afraid that Johnny would try and have him arrested for squatting. And having already racked up 2 felonies in his life, Stephen was paranoid about going back to jail. But when Stephen was leaving, he did mention seeing Johnny hunched over the toilet as if he were going to vomit, but he claims to have left before this so-called medical emergency started. This is the gist of Stephen's account from that day, but the problem is, it doesn't really match up with what we're hearing in the video.
Dude, what the fuck? Yo, stop. And then the loud noises. No physical altercation happened at all? Really? Really?
From the footage, we can hear everything going on in that unit, but at no point do we hear any sort of an argument, nor do we hear anything about rent, with the phrases lending themselves more to a physical struggle rather than a verbal one. In fact, the whole time it appears that we're only hearing one voice. But there is an exception. To my knowledge, it's never been conclusively determined whose voice is who in the recording, and either scenario paints a far different picture of what may have happened inside that room. But regardless, this audio makes it clear that Steven's story was fabricated at least to some degree, as he also fails to account for the loud banging in the background. And because of this, his version of events is generally rejected, with most people seeming to believe one of two main theories. The first is that, upon arriving home, Johnny and Steven had gotten into a physical altercation, resulting in Johnny taking some sort of blow to his abdomen, which in turn triggered or exacerbated this medical emergency. GI bleeds are horrific, and can certainly cause the level of bleeding that was found in the apartment, and perhaps seeing all the blood coming from Johnny, Steven started yelling at him, before deciding to run off, fearing that he would be charged for murder. This would explain Steven's demeanor and actions after leaving the apartment, and why he may have fabricated his story, as he knew or knows that he was directly responsible for Johnny's death. And this blow to the abdomen could have easily been missed by investigators, as the injuries would have been primarily internal. The second theory is that upon arriving home, Johnny naturally experienced a medical emergency leading to this catastrophic GI bleed. Upon seeing this and perhaps being in a state of shock, Steven yelled at him, demanding to know what was happening and telling him to stop, as perhaps he was moving around the apartment and tracking blood everywhere, which would explain the other voice saying, "I can't stop." I could see how this experience would make no sense to Steven, and perhaps just having no idea what was happening, he left and tried to make it look like he was never there, as he was afraid of being blamed for whatever was happening to Johnny, and so he essentially left Johnny there to die, whether knowingly or unknowingly. What bothered
Didn't call the cops, didn't do nothing, didn't ask for help or anything. Yeah, this Steven guy, I don't trust it. I feel like he had some direct involvement, like there might have been the physical altercation and it led to the bleeding. I'm just saying. But I guess this is how it seemed like it was natural. It's so weird, man.
What bothers me about this theory is why 911 was never called, not only by Steven, but by Johnny too, as his phone was found in the unit with blood on it, implying that he had it in his hand at some point, though it's possible that the massive blood loss just made him too disoriented. Both of these theories seem believable, or at least more so than the explanation that Steven had given. However, in October of 2022, Johnny's case would officially be closed for good, with Steven being cleared of any wrongdoing, as Johnny's death was labeled the same way that it always has been, a medical emergency that couldn't be further elaborated on, with the most relevant evidence being that Steven's shoe prints were not found in the blood, but Johnny's were, implying that he had not been part of the struggle. But in my mind, this can be explained by both theories mentioned previously. Though regardless, without the possibility of an autopsy, this is likely where this case ends for good. But with this disturbing footage, I can't help but think that there was more to the story than we may ever know.
Bro, in this situation, the police weren't even trying. They weren't even trying, man. Like, come on.
It was around 7:30 a.m. on a warm July morning back in 2019. 17-year-olds Bethany Martin and a 16-year-old friend decide to walk to a gas station near their home in San Antonio, Texas. And as the two of them made their way down the road, their path brought them parallel to a drainage ditch, which was often filled with various trash and other discarded material. But on this day, something far more interesting caught their eye. It looked like a man crouching down and leaned up against one of the concrete walls, but the closer they got, the more they realized how unusual his posture was. He looked completely unnatural, and he wasn't moving. And by the time they came face to face with him, the reality of the situation would hit them. They had just found a dead body. This discovery was enough to traumatize anyone, especially two teenagers, and upon calling the police and being sent on their way, Bethany and her friend would make the long walk back home contemplating what to do next, before they eventually landed on the idea of sharing their experience with the world. And so, as soon as they got in the door, they began to set up lights and their camera in order to film a TikTok.
This TikTok is in such bad taste. Like, I don't even know where to begin, bro. What the hell am I looking at?
The clip showed the two sitting on a couch, appearing to be in a state of shock, with the words, "Us remembering we found a dead body this morning."
Bro. How old are they? Because there's no way their brains are fully developed. Because what the hell is this?
Plastered on the screen, offering no other context aside from the description, which simply read, "I wish we were kidding. All respect to the family." Some offered sympathy for the girls, while others viewed their post as insensitive and exploitative. But others weren't even convinced it
Not even exploitative. It's just dumb. Why? What's the point of this video?
was real, partially due to this glaring lack of context. But any doubt of this post's legitimacy would be quickly thwarted by a discovery made not even one full day later, as it was revealed that this recording hadn't actually been the only video that these two girls had made on that fateful day. On their walk to the gas station, the girls had stumbled across the body of 25-year-old Marcus Adams, with the young man having seemingly perished earlier that morning, with it being apparent that he had taken his own life. But upon finding Marcus, the girls weren't actually overwhelmed with sadness or even shock, as instead, their focus immediately went to something far different.
Yo, are we about to get like the Logan Paul of TikTok girls? Did they start recording his dead body? Are we serious? Yeah. The both of you, psychopaths. Absolutely insane.
Something on the man's body had caught their attention. His necklace. The girls really liked it.
Oh, so they didn't record, did they? They just decided to steal his jewelry?
In fact, the unnamed 16-year-old had said that it matched her fashion perfectly.
Oh, they're 16? Imagine being this evil at 16? Holy, I mean, I know teenagers are impulsive and all that, but God.
Though before police arrived, the two would once again pull out their phone and start recording, showing Bethany approaching the body with her intention being to grab his necklace, which she eventually does, removing the medallion and giving it to her friend, before tossing the chain into the grass nearby, leading to the girls running away from the scene. The 16-year-old would then post that video onto her Snapchat story, for all of her close friends to see.
She put on her close friends? Okay. Y'all are so weird. One of those friends snitched on them too, which I find hilarious.
I can't show the footage for obvious reasons, but it's truly awful. And just based on the audio alone, you can tell that they're very obviously having fun doing this.
You gotta do it now. Now or never. Here, hold me.
I got it.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god.
There's something so uniquely disturbing about it. It's clear that upon finding the body, there was no real emotional impact on them, at least none that outweighed their desire to steal from it. And as if stealing from this man who had just taken his own life, and posting it for all their friends to see as if it were a joke, wasn't horrible enough, they then immediately posted this other video to TikTok in an attempt to garner sympathy. It's truly awful, and made even more appalling by reports that claim that the 16-year-old had actually worn this medallion in the TikTok video and in others made following its posting. And unfortunately, their actions had even more upsetting consequences, as the footage from their Snapchat story was quickly downloaded by someone they knew and posted onto an app called Nextdoor, with the footage being totally uncensored. And it was on this app where it's claimed that many of Marcus Adams' own family members would see the footage, many of whom weren't even aware that he was deceased. Just one day after posting this TikTok, both girls were questioned by the police after the incident and the footage was reported to them, and as a result, Bethany would be charged with theft of a human corpse, but would ultimately avoid any serious jail time. Meanwhile, the 16-year-old's name and charges were never publicly released.
I mean, obviously, of course, there's never going to be like any serious repercussions from this. Not only are they under 18, but I mean, the charges were minimal. This is just a very stupid and harrowing, like, moral thing. I mean, the law can't touch moral bankruptcy. Like, just because these two are sick in the head doesn't mean you can throw them in jail. Even if you may disagree with that.
But we do know that the medallion was returned to the family. Perhaps unsurprisingly, Bethany would later come back to her TikTok page shortly after her arrest
Can you
and
stop
share
uploading?
her side of the story, where she gave a less than half-hearted apology, while also claiming to be the victim, saying that her friend had pressured her to steal from Marcus, as well as pressured her into making that TikTok in the first place, because she thought it would be a hit. Though obviously,
Yeah, nah. See, this checks out the TikTok comments, but bro, is like I know she is a kid, but I don't think I was this dumb at 16. Come on, yo, can we get a grip?
this didn't go over well.
Anyone watching in 2024, yo. What the hell, bro? Yeah, that one was just like, ew.
On December 20th, 1984, 12-year-old Janelle Matthews disappeared from her home in Greeley, Colorado in the evening hours. Earlier that day, she had sung at a Christmas concert with her school's choir, which her parents were unable to attend, as her mother was out of town and her father had gone to her sister's basketball game nearby, leading to Janelle catching a ride home with a friend, being dropped off at her house sometime around 8:15, where she excitedly spoke to her father on the phone, letting him know that she had arrived home safe and sound. Approximately 1 hour later, her father, Jim Matthews, pulled into the driveway to find the garage door wide open, and the house completely empty. Janelle was gone, leaving behind her winter coat and even her shoes, despite it being a frigid, snowy night. And it was within that snow that was quickly piling up that lie one of the only real clues left behind at the scene. Footprints, leading directly to one of the home's windows, insinuating that someone had been watching Janelle.
Whoa.
12-year-old Janelle Matthews disappeared from her Greeley home 1 month ago today. It's believed she's the victim of a kidnapping. She has not been seen or heard from since December 20th.
Her disappearance became a big news story almost immediately, with the whole community and really the whole country becoming invested in the fate of this girl, thanks in large part to her being one of the very first milk carton kids, meaning that her face and information about her disappearance was shown on countless milk cartons all across the country to get the word out. And as a result, this case became huge in the mainstream media, as even politicians began to make note of Janelle's story, with then-President Ronald Reagan mentioning the girl in one of his speeches.
I learned about Jonelle Matthews of Greeley, Colorado, 5 days before Christmas. Jonelle disappeared from her home.
Though even with this publicity, this didn't necessarily guarantee results, and soon months would turn to years, and eventually to decades.
What's the thing that they say about, like, if they don't find them in the first 24 hours, it's usually chips? Yeah. Damn it, bro. This just sucks. I mean, this is an old story, though, so the fact that he's bringing it up now leads me to believe there are updates. There should be.
And all the while, Janelle's whereabouts remained a complete mystery. Eventually, the rise of the internet would start to play a key role in this case, where even in the late 2010s, over
The case is still open? Really?
3 decades after she had vanished, her case was still being shared and still being discussed, just as it had been 3 decades prior, with it still being a point of contention for politicians even as recently as 2019. When a man running for governor of Idaho mentioned her disappearance in a Facebook post, 35 full years later. Regardless of Janelle's whereabouts, her case was still very much alive, as the world, and especially Janelle's parents, were haunted by the question, what happened to Janelle Matthews? But sure enough, in late 2019, they would finally get their answer.
Bones found in Weld County earlier this week appeared to bring an end to a 3-decade-long search for a missing 12-year-old girl. The Greeley Tribune is reporting they are those of Jonelle Matthews.
On Tuesday, July 23, 2019, at roughly 4:50 p.m., a crew had been digging in an isolated field in Weld County, Colorado, in order to install a new pipeline, when they would uncover the decayed remains of a little girl. It was Janelle, still
Okay, man.
wearing those clothes that she had worn to her recital, meaning she had likely died the very day she disappeared, having been killed by a single gunshot wound to the head.
And the worst part about it is the uncertainty that her parents had to feel for 3 decades, bro. Imagine 30 years not knowing what happened to your kid, knowing almost certainly that she might not be alive, and to figure out after so long. Oh, it is heartbreaking, bro.
Janelle Matthews had been murdered in cold blood, and almost immediately upon finding her body, the police would also zero in on their suspect. The man's name was Stephen Pankey, and at the time of Janelle's disappearance, he had been living in the same general area in Colorado. But by 2019, Stephen had long since fled the area, as after the crime, he would eventually pack up seemingly out of the blue and move to Idaho, where when
Who is this guy specifically? And is there a statute of limitations? Because this MF, if he really did that, he need to go to jail, bro.
Janelle's body was discovered, he just so happened to be running for governor. And during his campaign, Pankey had put out a bizarre Facebook post about Janelle, calling for the Colorado DA to oversee a fresh investigation, as he stated that the local police had wrongly been focused on the theory that Janelle's disappearance was a child abduction and murder, which was quite convenient, as just a few months after posting this, he would be arrested for the abduction and murder of Janelle Matthews. Police believe that Janelle had first caught Stephen's eye when he was working as a janitor at the church she attended, with this leading to him stalking her and eventually abducting her on that fateful night, where he threw Janelle in his car and ultimately ended her life, for no reason other than his sick satisfaction.
Yeah, get... Bro, and this guy was running for governor. Yo, there are sickos among us, bro.
He then proceeded to bury her in a field 20 miles away, in a spot that he was certain no one would ever find her. Now, the evidence supporting this is mainly circumstantial, but it is incredibly concerning. Just one day after Janelle's abduction, Pankey decided to...
No way, I just saw... Hold up, peep. Yo, because this is how they get you, bro. This is how...
But it is incredibly concerning.
Traditional core values of biblical and constitutional perspective. Bro, they'll come to you waving the flag of Jesus, waving the Bible, but they don't actually come with any scripture, bro. They don't come with the heart of God. It's all a front. It's all a front. These are the evil people, bro. And they be using scripture as a mask when they're not really Christian. It's crazy.
Just one day after Janelle's abduction, Pankey decided to take his wife to California in order to celebrate the holidays with his parents, with this trip being completely unplanned, as his wife was only told...
Again, like, I guess for certain they don't know it was him, but circumstantially, if it pointed to him and he was the one who did this, my point stands.
A bit literally the day of. And making things stranger, when they returned home, Stephen's car conveniently caught fire and was burned to a crisp, to which he offered no explanation for. But in response, he would take the car to a local scrapyard where it would be even further destroyed, taking any potential evidence along with it. But while this is all strange enough, police say that the main indicator that Stephen was their man was his clear obsession with Janelle's case. Shortly after the slaying, Stephen began listening and watching any news reports he could on Janelle's case, while also having his wife read every single article about the missing girl out loud, to which he would often have her repeat them over and over again. But his obsession didn't stop there, as he would then start frequently calling the police, wanting to talk to them about the case, even going as far as to give them potential leads, as he claimed to be fearful that he was going to be blamed for the crime, despite having seemingly never even met her. And it was during some of these many unusual phone calls that he was said to have given details on her disappearance that were never actually made public. His obsession was entirely uncanny, bringing up her disappearance at random even decades later, with his Facebook post being a perfect example. And as it turns out, one of Stephen's most incriminating statements came as a result of something he mentioned in that infamous message. In it, Stephen says that his son Carl had been murdered in 2008, which is in fact true, as the murder was actually fully solved, with it being confirmed that Stephen had nothing to do with it. But when he was mourning the loss of Carl...
Oh my goodness. I mean, it's unfortunate that his son was murdered, but you have to think, man. You have to think, you have to look at it and be like, okay, he did that to that little girl way back then, and then the same thing happens to his kid, and it hurts, bro.
Something unusual happened. His now ex-wife recalled that following Carl's death, Pinky never once cried until the day before his memorial service, where she watched him from a distance walk up to their son's urn and begin to sob, eventually blurting out, "I hope God didn't allow this to happen because of Janelle Matthews."
Whoa, whoa. See, I was thinking it. I wasn't gonna say it. He said it. He did it. Bro. I hope God didn't. There's a special place in hell for you, pal.
Despite maintaining his innocence to this day, Pinky was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole in 2040, his conviction coming 12,634 days after Janelle Matthews' disappearance, with Pinky's cryptic Facebook post serving as a dark relic of his twisted obsession that would eventually expose him as Janelle's killer.
I mean, hey, at least in the end he was caught. He was put in jail. I hope that MF never gets out on parole. Hello. But yeah, it's unfortunate. That being said, take care, stay blessed. That's the end of the video. I love you. God loves you. Stay safe out there, man. It's dangerous. Goodbye. I streamed. Oh. I got one more in me. Coach. Alright, let's do one more. reaction. Let's do one more. Okay. Oh, this seems interesting. Okay, let's sure.
As many of you already know, we're living.
For the boys who needed to see this, for the boys who are battling lust, who needed to see this, maybe this will be some motivation. Though the internet's most illegal gooning incidents. I mean, I would certainly hope y'all wouldn't allow it to get this far.
As many of you already know, we're living in the middle of a gooning epidemic. Unable to contain their own horniness, some gooners have gotten themselves in serious legal trouble. Be it for gooning in public, indecent exposure, voyeurism, it's getting crazy out there. And with that stated, today we'll be once again looking at several cases where gooning ruined people's lives.
Guys, this counts as the dark side of the internet, right? Like this still fits in with the internet rabbit hole? I'd say so.
Policemen goons while driving. Gooning on the job is already risky business, but I'd say in the case of certain jobs, it can be absolutely diabolical if you go through with it. Which brings us to the case of the cop who crashed his cruiser while watching porn. On November 6, 2024, in Sorrento, Florida, police deputy Tristan McComber was driving along in his squad car southbound on County Road 435. And this would be no ordinary patrol. On body cam footage, Tristan can be seen briefly checking his phone and then out of nowhere, crash. Officer McComber, distracted from checking his phone, rear-ended a civilian motorist who was stopped behind a school bus. Uh-oh. But that's not even the worst part. Frame-by-frame body cam footage analysis reveals, well, he was watching porn on the phone, and possibly even gooning to it. Bro was literally browsing the hub while tailgating a soccer mom and a bus full of children.
He says, "I can't control my horny level."
Stumbling out of his patrol car, bricked up and torqued, McComber, or McCoomer as I'm calling him from now on, is clearly embarrassed. He calls for backup and goes to check on the woman that he hit.
Yeah, that fucking sucked.
Yeah, fire this guy? Hello? Bro. How is this segment of the video so long? Holy. Oh, there's a sponsor in there, it looks like. Okay.
Yeah, I'm good. Hello, ma'am. Are you okay? I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
My brakes locked up.
Thankfully, the woman was unharmed.
Is it okay? My brakes locked up. Is it okay? Did we see the back of the car? Hold up. You do realize this is coming out of the police. This is probably coming out of their fund. Her tax-paying money has to go back into paying for her car repairs. Why would you do this? Why were you watching corn while driving? Gang.
Harmed, and she was actually pretty chill about the whole affair. I don't think she'd be as relaxed if she knew what the cop was up to before he blew the back out of her Toyota Corolla.
I feel so bad for her, bro. She seems so sweet. It's unfortunate that happened to her.
Gosh darn it.
So backup police would arrive and of course wanted to know why Officer McCoomer rear-ended this innocent lady. This is an audio recording from that incident of him explaining what he was doing.
I'm over here stroking my dick. I got lotion on my dick right now. I'm just stroking my shit.
The cop
That's absolutely not. Yo, this video is so unserious.
actually lied when the colleagues arrived. Officer Coomer told his supervisors that the woman ahead of him abruptly stopped due to the school bus. He said the sudden braking caused his brakes to lock up, and that's why he crashed into her.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
My brakes locked up.
McCoomer even claimed that his ABS light had been blinking around the time of this occurring. So, he's implying that, oh, my ABS is messed up, and that's why I slammed into the woman.
I'm over here stroking my dick.
So yeah, it was wet out at the time, and his story seemed
This video is so unserious, I swear.
plausible. Nothing would come from this, well, other than the police officer.
I mean, hey, in fairness, seeing as the rest of the stream has low-key been depressing, I feel like this is a lighter load. Pause. Wait. Oh my god. Mad pause on that. Sus on the play. Flag on the play. Yeah, that's a penalty. Hold up. What the hell?
Himself.
I can't control my horny level.
But then they pulled the body cam footage.
He wasn't texting before slamming his car into a woman's car.
He was looking at porn. West 2's Justin Schecker got a copy of the Internal Affairs report and the body camera video from the crash.
When an official from the sheriff's office reviewed the body cam
Bro, just thank goodness that woman is okay, because this situation sucks.
footage, they quickly realized McCoomer wasn't being honest with them. Wet roads and ABS wasn't the issue here. A quote from the official: I was able to observe in the top right of the screen that McCoomer was holding what appears to be a cell phone in his right hand, unquote. When questioned about the cell phone usage, which clearly led to the crash, McCoomer admitted he was on his phone, but said that he was only checking a group chat that had other officers in it. The problem with that is, in the footage, there's literally porn on the screen. So are you saying that you and your cop bros have a gooning group chat, Mr. McCoomer?
The fact that he lowered the phone enough to the body cam, I mean, it was during the crash probably. Yo, this is so bad.
Investigators got to take a look at this group chat, and well, they found no such pornographic imagery within it. So the Coomer was lying again. They pressed him again even harder, and Tristan McCoomer would finally come clean, admitting to not only being on his phone, but also to looking at pornographic material, specifically, quote, like boobs and whatnot. McCoomer would be reprimanded for lying by omission, as investigators confirmed that the main reason for the crash was due to the officer ogling at pornographic images on his phone. The Coomer was also cited for violating other policies, including a general order about using
Man, this situation is so stupid. This is so
a cell phone on the job and also not wearing his seatbelt. In January of 2025, Officer McCoomer, now fully exposed as a gooner,
Bro, and he has a wife or a girl? Yo. It's unfortunate, man. It's unfortunate.
cop and facing firing, resigned from Lake County, turning his badge in shame. He would join the likes of other gooner police officer extraordinaires, such as the on-duty cop that was in an OnlyFans promotional video. Go watch my other video about gooning if you want to learn about that guy. As for the vehicle that the officer rear-ended, the driver seemed to be uninjured in the body cam footage, so no big deal there, I reckon. I'd imagine she has a potential lawsuit against the county considering she was hit by a cop watching porn on patrol. Hopefully the Lake County Sheriff's Office did the right thing here and paid for the damage done to her vehicle. Maybe even hopefully gave her a little bit of extra considering how fucking ridiculous all of this was.
Yes.
The only thing more dangerous than uncontrolled gooning is
Yo, get your bread, gang. Get your bread. Get your bread. But we shall move on and whatnot.
Now, let's get back.
Our next gooner is an individual who became so reckless with his stroking addiction that he frequently became known to goon for extended sessions in extremely crowded public areas. On March 11th, 2022, around 9:30 a.m., 27-year-old homeless man and self-described male model Blake Rain decided to put on a show at the Miami Beach Starbucks on Collins Avenue and 29th Street. As Blake entered the Starbucks, he didn't approach the barista and order a coffee. Rather, he leisurely walked over to an American flag that was hanging on the store window, produced his cock and balls, and started jerking off publicly. The man...
Have we no shame? Have we no concept of decency anymore? What has society come to? This is absolutely embarrassing. I don't even know what accent I'm going for anymore, but this is disgusting. I swear, I think I might hit this guy if I saw him.
Looking rather patriotic as he stroked away.
The man in this video was arrested for lewd and lascivious behavior inside a Miami Beach Starbucks.
What are you doing?
A customer records as employees who may not be aware.
Yeah, look at them like walking away mad and comfortable, bro. This is so lame. Oh my god, this is disgusting.
Continue calling for order.
Get the out. It's disgusting.
This is disgusting. This is disgusting. Why are you even engaging with it, bro? I would straight up hit him and leave. I would punch him.
Apparently stuff like this must happen a lot around there, as the baristas are seemingly just going along with their work as if there isn't a guy shooting ropes in their lobby. You can literally hear them calling out customer names to pick up drinks. Thankfully, Alyssa, the woman who's recording, intervened in all of this madness, chastising the depraved gooner and did her best to cockblock the guy from his own right hand.
I don't want to ever go back, and it's just, it'll always be in the back of my head.
Though I don't know, he might have actually been into being screamed at by her.
It's disgusting.
This sickening public gooning display by our homeless male model here reportedly lasted about 10 minutes. Eventually, Miami Beach officers would arrive, and they scared the guy off in the process. Officers caught up with him shortly after he fled. He was seen walking southbound on Collins Avenue, and once he saw the police were on his trail, he took off running. Officers gave chase and ended up tasing the fleet-footed masturbator, marking the end of his Starbucks stroke session.
Video shows police trying to take 27-year-old Blake Rain into custody.
Sit the down.
The police report says Rain ran from police. He's combative, while police tase him.
Blake was arrested and charged with lewd and lascivious behavior, disorderly conduct in an establishment, and resisting an officer without violence. After being taken to the Mount Sinai Medical Center to tend to injuries from his arrest, Blake Rain was then taken into custody and arraigned in a court for his bond. Blake was...
Oh my god, bro. Oh, like what would possess a man to walk into a Starbucks and start jerking it, bro? Ew. What the hell? Have we no shame?
Quite nasty towards the judge and almost earned himself a gag order for his unhinged behavior when he was addressing the bench.
The suspect appeared in bond court. Rain was argumentative with the judge and tells the judge he works on the beach.
If you don't stop, I'm going to mute you and you will not be able to speak for the rest of this hearing. Do you understand me?
I mean, who's to say that the guy wouldn't have liked the gag order? He might have been into that kind of thing. In the wake of all of this, Starbucks issued a public statement regarding the gooner. Once alerted to the customer's behavior, our partners, employees, took action and local authorities were immediately called. We want our stores to be a welcoming environment, and our partners are empowered to address any behavior that doesn't meet our third place policy. In the future, we will be advising police to tase the fuck out of anyone masturbating in our store. Unquote.
Okay, yes, I would hope so.
In April 5th of 2022, it was actually found that Blake had other crimes he was facing in the state of New York, so he was a fugitive and would get extradited back there. Hey, if you work at a Starbucks in New York or Florida, keep your eyes peeled for this guy, because if you don't, he might sneak in and patriotically jerk off in front of everybody.
The story of the Gooner Doc.
Now we advance to one of today's most prolific and shameless gooners. A medical doctor whose gross proclivities led to him regularly walking around naked in his own medical office in front of female staff. This is Arkansas-based Dr. David Define, a medical professional with over 25 years of experience, and he's had an interesting career to say the least. The doc is no stranger to getting in trouble. In the past, the physician has been criminally charged for illegally distributing pain medications, and even had his medical license suspended back in 2017 due to excessively prescribing narcotics. But big fucking deal though, right? I mean, it sounds like your average small town American doctor, you know?
Yeah, as unfortunate as that is, he's not even wrong, eh?
Well, I'm not here to talk about the doc because he's passing out perk 30s to anyone who asks him. I'm here because he's in the office with his cock and balls out. You see, Dr. David in the past has described himself as a naturist, essentially a head-ass way of saying that he's a nudist. The guy at one point even reportedly operated.
Nah, just the way he said it. It's basically a head-ass way of saying it. Yeah. I mean, he's not even wrong, bro. What the hell is a naturist game? But also freaking clothes. Damn.
Operated an Instagram page called Naked Dr. Dave, where he would presumably post about his nudist lifestyle. This page was only the start of unsettling things to come. It was the first indication that there was something fucky going on with this guy behind closed doors, and apparently he was unclothed behind those doors. Dave's nude antics first got him in trouble
In front of other staff? Yo, why wasn't this guy fired
with the
immediately?
Arkansas Medical Board back in January of 2024. Someone reported his nudist Instagram page to the medical board after stumbling upon apparent nude photos of him posted there. When confronted about this, he'd defend himself against the board, stating that as a naturist, he does not, quote, shame, sexualize, fear, or negatively stigmatize the naked body, unquote. He also added that there was no crossover whatsoever with my professionalism while practicing medicine and my naturist activities, unquote. The guy was a proud nudist, and goddamn anyone tried to get between him and
Okay, yeah, like, good for you, but be nude at home. Be nude at home. Why are you doing that in the office? Come on.
being butt ball naked. But he promised that he wasn't naked at work. That was different. That was a line that he was not willing to cross. Skeptical but willing to concede for the time, the medical board decided not to take any action against Dr. David. But this situation was far from over and was only about to get much worse. Around the time of the board ceasing their investigation on the doc, an extremely disturbing piece of surveillance video footage would come to light. A piece of footage that suggested David was lying about not mixing his at-home nudity with on-the-job activities. Coming to light in November of 2024, the footage originally recorded all the way back in 2019 allegedly showed Dr. David sauntering around his medical office in Blytheville, Arkansas, while completely butt-ball naked. The nude practitioner can at one point be seen carelessly conversing with several of his female employees. At one point, the nude doctor even goes to
And none of them reported him? Why?
interact with the patient. The guy was very much ingratiating his nudist philosophy into his practice, and it kind of looked like he got a weird kick out of doing this. He was power tripping, you could say. The shocking leaked footage was then provided to the Arkansas Medical Foundation by an anonymous tipster. This tipster claiming that the doctor was a disturbed sex lunatic. They alleged the guy, quote, used the position of power, sexual grooming, and salary increases to groom employees and patients into repulsive sex acts. One possible example of this is a clip allegedly showcasing the doctor performing a sex act directly in front of one of the women, who is said to have not only been a lab technician within the office, but also one of Dr. David's frequent patients. The reported sexual act ended with the nudist doctor actually ejaculating on the woman, allegedly. All of this happening during office hours. When this illicit sexual behavior and gooning was uncovered, the board, who had foolishly let him slide previously, was now all over him. In Dr. David's disciplinary report, the Arkansas Medical Foundation stated, quote,
"The perverse behavior leads to concerns about a sexual compulsive disorder or paraphilia."
Surely this goes beyond the medical foundation, right? Like, you can get arrested for this or no? I would hope so.
Which may, in fact, cross boundaries with his delivery of medical care. Simply, the interaction with his office staff suggests an entanglement in his medical practice. When confronted with the possibility that the medical board possessed surveillance footage of him jerking off and being naked in front of staff, the doctor played dumb, saying, quote, "I don't know anything about that at all. I would have to see those things to have any idea what you're talking about." They promptly would show him, and the Gooner doc finally realized he was fucked. As a result of parading around with his dick and balls out in the doctor's office, the board suspended his medical practice on October 14, 2024. A hearing for Dave's medical license was scheduled for December of that year, but was postponed, and there's been no new updates that I can find regarding the Gooner doc and when he'll be able to practice again. If you do a medical board license lookup for the state of—
Do not let him practice again. Hello? Hello? Do not let him practice again.
of Arkansas, it still says that the Gooner doc's license is suspended. And we can't forget about the civil lawsuits, as this guy was violating people left and right in that office, allegedly. One civil suit came from a patient named Carol Ballard. She alleged that the man repeatedly tried to engage in sexual acts during examinations over a period of 18 months. These acts allegedly including exposing his genitals, making lewd remarks, and participating in indecent physical contact. A legal representative said, Dr. David Defini's actions were intentional, deliberate, and served no legitimate medical purpose. Instead, they were designed to gratify his own sexual desires, abuse his position of trust, and humiliate the plaintiff, Miss Ballard. As a direct and approximate result of these acts, my plaintiff has suffered severe emotional distress, anguish, anxiety, humiliation, loss of sleep, vomiting, physical manifestations of stress, distrust of medical professionals, and other damages that no reasonable person should be expected to endure. Another lawsuit was filed from a plaintiff named Rachel Chandler, who is a nurse practitioner and a former employee. Though she isn't suing Dr. Dave for receiving unwanted glimpses of his penis, it's over unpaid wages. I think there's no way around it. This one is totally a case of gooning ruining your life.
Yeah, bro, calling himself a naturist and all of that, bro. This guy just a sexual deviant, bro. He a freak. He a deviant. Bro, like, oh my goodness. Hey, you know what I say. When you catch one of the people like this, bro, sometimes you just gotta cut it off. You just gotta cut it off.
For the love of God, put your dick away and just be a doctor, dude.
The car wash foot gooner.
This is a case of a gooner who took his foot fetish to a whole nother level, loitering around car washes and even hiding under vehicles to catch glimpses of sandal and flip-flop wearing women. On August 29, 2024, police got a call wherein a person claimed a peeping Tom had infiltrated a car wash located in Gilbert, Arizona on Val Vista Drive. Several witnesses reportedly spotted the at-large gooner, and surveillance footage literally showed the unidentified culprit sneaking underneath at least 3 separate vehicles. It was believed he was doing this to goon at the soapy feet of the women who often wore open-toed footwear while they were cleaning their cars. While these women vacuumed and detailed their cars, this voyeuristic vagrant would slide up under their vehicles and enjoy a free foot show for several minutes at a time, likely stroking it and carrying on in ways I don't particularly want to know about. This video clip in particular shows him emerging from underneath a vehicle when the woman finishes cleaning, and he just acts like he's minding his own business, you know, cleaning and detailing the tire of his own vehicle.
Okay, so like, I mean, outside of this being, you know, extremely weird, like, and also like, why the hell? And also over feet, really? But like, But like outside of all that, just in what world? Because like these cannot be real scenarios. In what this has to be some kind of bizarro world where just all human decency has gone out the window. Because who are these people? These can only be the worst vagrants among us, bro. Only the worst of gooners known to mankind. And, bro.
This is the incident that actually got the man reported. Another customer saw this bizarre behavior transpiring and later got in touch with the woman he gooned to and told her about it. This news was extremely upsetting to her, so she went to the car wash and asked them to pull the surveillance footage.
Sure enough, going through the video footage, I watched it happen. She was already in the process of calling the cops. He keeps walking back and forth, and you'll see him do that. He's watching to see what she's doing. When we talk to her, she's in the back seat vacuuming her car on that driver's side, and he slips up underneath that front tire. He was out underneath the vehicle for about 5 to 6 minutes, I want to say, and then he slips out and goes to this back passenger tire and is like trying to fiddle with it, making it seem like he's there the entire time.
The car wash foot gooner would later be identified.
Bro, and this is what he looks like. By the way, I'm not saying anything, but they all wait. I'm joking. I'm kidding. I'm joking. I'm kidding. Okay, it's not a race thing. It's really not. Bro. Y'all are some weirdos, man.
Is 28-year-old Jesse Johnson, and on the afternoon of September 24th, 2024, because of his lascivious loitering, he would be arrested. The man facing 3 felony counts of voyeurism and 3 misdemeanors for disorderly conduct. Jesse was held on a $10,000 bond, and if that bond wasn't met, he'd be compelled to wear an ankle monitor.
Bro, I feel like there's other ways you could go. Like, you could really just, like, pay for something like this if you're that obsessed. Like, you could just, like, pay someone to see their feet. Like, these are just bad ideas. If you're really that down bad and that much of a gooner, do not do it in an illegal way.
An apt punishment.
I mean, of course, the solution would just be to battle your lust and turn away. But hey, I mean, some people, they fall to the flesh. What can I say?
For a professional foot monitor. Unsurprisingly, according to court documents, the reason Jesse did this stuff at car washes was because of an uncontrollable foot fetish, with him even admitting to investigators that he was sexually attracted to women's feet and claiming that he couldn't control his desires. This actually wasn't even his first rodeo in the realm of public foot gooning. In fact, he had been previously cited on numerous occasions for attempting to look at, touch, lick, or come into contact with women's feet. In June of 2016, a Fox News affiliate, Fox 10, would cover one of the man's prior exploits, highlighting a case wherein Jesse was cited for hiding underneath a woman's car in a grocery store parking lot, and he attempted to touch her feet. The referenced article indicates that this was Jesse's 4th citation for doing shit like this. Speaking presently.
Fourth. Buddy, go pay to see some toes. What are you doing? 4th. Oh my god.
There's no new updates to report regarding this story, but for you ladies out there, next time you take your Camry to the car wash, consider some closed-toed shoes, or at least take a look under your car before you get busy cleaning, because there just might be a gooner under there jerking off.
No, like, you know how, of all the things to have to also worry about, that's so ridiculous, bro.
The tragic story of the beach gooner.
Our next case is one that starts off rather humorous, but quickly becomes disturbing the more you learn about it.
I think I've seen something about this a little bit. I don't really know the details.
July 1st of 2021 at a beach on Tybee Island in the state of Georgia. On this day, beachgoer Sarah Moss observed a woman laying on her beach towel in the sand using what appeared to be a vibrator, masturbating publicly. Worried that a child might see this, she reported it to police, who would arrive a bit later to investigate the apparent beachfront gooning incident. While she had moved locations by the time they arrived, police found their suspect at a nearby restaurant that was just off the beach. This woman identified herself as Christina Revels Glick, and when confronted about the call they received, she suggested that this was all just a big misunderstanding, denying the claim outright and even expressing that it may have been one of her friends pulling a prank on her. Here's the interaction.
Were you doing something you weren't supposed to be doing?
What?
Like, what were you doing on the beach? Like, prior to coming here? Prior to coming here?
There was nobody. I was just sitting on my tail. Nobody was around me.
Okay, and you were over at the beach?
Like I was near the water.
Near the water?
Yeah.
Okay.
What did I do? What did I do?
So apparently you were masturbating on the beach.
Who saw that?
I mean, a couple people.
No, they
families.
didn't. That's not true.
Well, why would they call us that?
Nobody was around. Was it an anonymous call? Is this one of my buddies? Okay, one of my buddies.
No, it's not one of your buddies.
Her entire demeanor switches up after one of the cops asks her to show what's in her bag. And, you know, the truth would come out. She was getting freaky on that beach.
Is there anything in the bag?
No.
Is it right if I look through it? I mean, if you can open it and can I see the contents inside the bag?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't really understand what y'all are.
We're just here because someone called and we're very concerned. Okay.
This is really highly offensive to me.
I got it. I got you. And that's why I'm trying to figure it out.
It's my vibrator, but I just put it in my. I was sitting on the beach, and I just. Okay. Do I get a ticket?
God.
Bro, this whole video is the stupidest thing I've ever watched, bro. Why are we here right now? Why are we on stream watching this game? Yeah, oh, my head hurts. My head hurts. This whole video has been so dumb.
God forbid a stressed out woman play with her coochie on the beach. Literally 1984, guys. Can't a woman just enjoy herself? With her admitting to vibrating on the beach, she was handcuffed and arrested. In the process of being handcuffed, Christina tried to reason with police, saying that it only took her about 20 seconds to come and that she didn't mean to offend anyone.
I mean,
you know, I think that's gonna be the end of the video. I think we're done. I think we're done. With that being said, oh my god, bro. Take care, stay blessed. I love you. God loves you, bro. Do not goon in public. In fact, try not to goon at all. Yeah, this. Holy, yo, just have a great day. Bro, this is all stupid as hell. It's all stupid as hell. I mean, it brought the mood up from internet's darkest corner videos, but darkest videos on the internet, stuff like that, you know. But it's been a pretty solid internet rabbit holes stream. I say so. I enjoyed myself. I hope y'all enjoyed yourselves. But yeah, it's coming out of the stream. Again, as always, as you know, please do take care, stay blessed. I love you, and of course, you know, God loves you. I hope y'all have a wonderful day, man.
내 귀 스트로우 야 you.